I just wanted to provide some stats about what's happening in Gaza with regards to the famine and the World Food Programme report. So one of the things they said is that 71,000 children and 17,000 mothers will need urgent treatment for acute malnutrition in the next 2 weeks. So the report came out last week, and so 1 week's nearly gone in the next 2 weeks. So, and to your point about this Kafkaesque scenario where Israeli officials, proclaim their desire to impose siege and sanctions and war of annihilation on Gaza, and then when you point out to the evidence, they say, no, no, that's not what's happening. They just deny that, and I think
It's
it takes us to
Hollywood, it's Gazawood,
yes.
it's the 21st century version of Holocaust denial, pure and simple.
Mm. Which takes me to my next point, which is we've spoken about this a number of times, the genocide mania that gripped Israeli society. So there was an article in the Haaretz last week, which showed how in Israel violence saturates every aspect of society, and it showed chocolate eclairs which are being sold, calling for destruction of Gaza, and the word calling for destruction of Gaza is glazed into the chocolate eclairs, and that's how violence in Israeli society is being celebrated. And the Haaretz did an article on that. I was really revealing, and I think we can safely assume that that kind of genocide mania has gripped many pro-Israeli supporters and advocates around the world. And one organization we should mention is what you said, UK Lawyers for Israel. And this group has come under a lot of attack because it's I think it's executive. He came out and said that there is no famine in Gaza. If anything, this famine is good for the Palestinians because it'll help them to lose weight. And he was responding in response to a campaign by a cooperative to boycott Israel. So do you want to kind of give us your thoughts on the UK Lawyers for Israel, what they said, and how this is really another manifestation, example of how genocide mania has gripped so many pro-Israeli advocates, not
Well,
just in Israel, but elsewhere as well?
well, genocide mania is precisely the right term, Nassim. I mean, these chocolate eclairs, I think the story came out right as the new German foreign minister was visiting his favorite colleagues in Israel. Imagine, the foreign minister of a founding member of the International Criminal Court making it a point to travel to Israel and have a warm meeting with an official, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's an international fugitive for justice and wanted by the International Criminal Court, and saying nothing about this. And previously, of course, the new EU foreign policy Supremo, Kate Kallas, I think her name, also, went to bend the knee in front of Netanyahu. I mean, my only question is, did the EU foreign policy chief and the German foreign minister, did they order a few dozen of these genocidal eclairs as gifts for their cabinet colleagues for when they return? Wouldn't surprise me in the least, because I think there's now a consensus, that Europe will stop at nothing to ensure Israeli impunity, particularly when the crime is as severe as genocide. But let's get now to UK Lawyers for Israel. I mean, imagine if a Hamas leader came out and said, that our Politburo took a decision, we need to starve our captives because we conducted an assessment and found them to be dangerously overweight, and we should be thanked by the families of these captives for improving their health. Well, that's pretty much precisely what happened. This thoroughly vile, repellent, disgusting, I could use at least 75 more words, snake, Jonathan Turner, actually had the gall to claim that Israel's starvation policy is good for Palestinians. And not only that, he actually thought this was a winning argument. And his colleagues quite clearly agreed with him. That's the type of organization that UK Lawyers for Israel is. Imagine thinking, you know, that it's a good argument to say that starvation is good for its victims. It's really beyond words how deeply entrenched genocide mania has become among people like Turner and his thoroughly repellent organization. And of course, if the shoe was on the other foot, imagine what the response would have been. But now we have to have a serious discussion about whether it is indeed or is not a good thing instead of across the board criticism, condemnation, ostracization of these vile, repellent, horrible specimens of human beings.